gents. Andrew, perhaps just to start with you, mate. You're back to full fitness, you're training. Eddie said that you were training last week. How close do you think you are? I imagine you're ready to pull on 15 jersey if needed.
Yeah, mate, I'm ready to pull on any jersey if needed. No, look, yeah, good week last week. Yeah, big jump, rehab, straight back into training. So I imagine pretty similar to Nella. I've been chasing my lungs for the last 10 days, but now I'm ready to go. So yeah, I'm available.
Terribly frustrating. Can you talk us through, did you think it was going to be so niggly that he'll miss a couple of matches? And secondly, Eddie's kind of spoken about a lot of players coming back from long-term injuries, and it often takes a little while to find your feet. Do you feel like that wouldn't be an issue for you because you've actually played a fair bit for the Rebels this year?
Well, the first part of that question, yeah, it's incredibly frustrating, these sorts of things, but it's part of the game we play. So did I think it was going to keep me out for ages? No. Did I think it was minor? Do you ever think it's minor? I like to joke I've got the lowest pain threshold in the team. So at one point I thought my leg was falling off, but it turned out to be a pretty minor hamstring. So yeah, look, glad to be back involved. In terms of the second part of the question, yeah, I'm getting used to coming back from injury at the moment. It's been pretty stop-start last 2 years, but yeah, I mean, it's tough coming back from injury, but again, that's part of the game, and fortunate the way we've been training lately, it's probably as hard, if not harder, than any game could throw at us. So I'm in the best possible spot to be prepared to come back, I reckon.
And we know, like selection, it's so competitive, there's depth, and we've seen that with Tom falling out of the squad. An opportunity potentially for yourself or someone else to pull on that 15 jersey, but it goes to show that you've got to take that chance, don't you? You can't allow the door ajar for anyone else to potentially grab hold of it, particularly in the World Cup year.
Yeah, I mean, that much has been true forever, for as long as I've been involved. So yeah, I mean, we're blessed with depth in the outside backs here, and yeah, you said it. You don't take your opportunity, then you leave yourself up for those things you can't control.
Andrew, what can you take out of the way that Tom did play in the number 15 jump for those last two games, and what you can potentially do differently if you do start there this weekend?
It's a tough question. Hey? Nella's just giving me some advice here. Oh, look, to tell you the truth, I thought Righty was pretty good, to be honest. I mean, first game in South Africa, limited opportunities. The way the game went, we didn't have a lot of balling. The stats were 70-30 or something sort of to that effect. So again, as an outside back, wing, fullback, it's tough to get in the game there. So yeah, I didn't think he did a lot wrong. Even against Argentina, had some great touches. I think for me, the thing about me and my game is that I'm confident that I bring something, and that's different to what Righty brings, it's different to what Nella brings, it's different to what Maki Nwanganitawase brings. So for me, it's not really about comparing the two of us or any of us really. It's about being really clear about what I can do and what I can bring, and bringing that in spades.
Andrew, there was a report that Eddie Jones had perhaps looked at naming a World Cup squad ahead of this match rather than just for Bledisloe. The idea being that you could kind of settle down and then just concentrate on this, and that it took away perhaps some of the anxiety. Do you feel like the World Cup being there after this does create anxiety for players and stresses that, you know, make it hard to focus on what's right in front of you?
Oh, I reckon that's probably something individual, right? Like guys, some guys have great narrow focus, some guys get worried about that sort of stuff, but what I do know is that by Friday it's impossible to be worrying about those things. You know, you're all of us, everyone, and in their own way, is so focused on what they've got to do come Saturday night. So yeah, look, I'm sure everyone's got the World Cup in the back of their mind, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's important because it's a big milestone, right? But as I said, by Friday there's no room for that sort of stuff, and everyone's really focused.
And do you look at like what happened with Tom, you know, in for a couple, then out of the squad altogether? Does that kind of create a situation where, or any anxiety around you must perform straight away? Like, is that an expectation anyway?
Yeah, I don't think anxiety is the right word. I think it's expectation. So we know, we've always known that you don't perform, you're out, right? So seeing a guy write his class, leave the group is only sort of reaffirmation of that fact. So yeah, I don't think there's anything new there. That's something that's always been good.
Can I just ask one more about a couple of years ago, you had some comments about the All Blacks. I know they were kind of taken out of context and misquoted and used by the other side in that sense. So where are you kind of 2 years down the path on that and what lessons you might have taken out of that and learned along the way?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned about that is to not comment, so I'll pass on that question.
All right, thanks.
Hey Taniela, great to see you back. Can you tell us about the 40 minutes? How important were those 40 minutes playing in Tonga, your homeland, to kind of get the cobwebs out, but also to show that you're ready to hit the ground running again?
No, I was sorry about my voice. I've been a bit sick in the last few days, but yeah, I'm good now. But no, it was good. It's good to be back home, playing in front of my family for the first time. You know, some of them had never watched me play before, so it's like full circle. Back playing where it all started for me. So quite emotional. You know, sort of forgot that it was my first game back because of all the emotions and you know all the family and everything. Just being home, you know, we hardly get these games in Tonga. You know, such a small place. No, but to be back there, it was quite special. And to play 40 minutes, you know, get it done. You know, it was good to know that I've done the right thing with the rehab and stuff, and I'm confident that I can, you know, play at this level now.
Yeah, and you're gonna, if you're selected, it's up against New Zealand, where of course you moved. It must always be special when you take on the All Blacks. But secondly, did you find that having blown off the cobwebs that you feel like you're both mentally and physically ready for a Bledisloe match, which doesn't, you know, it's not. There's very few matches that are probably such a big test and taking on the All Blacks.
I mean, you know, everybody's, you know, excited when it comes to Bledisloe Cup. We know what New Zealand can do, and they've had a really good start this year to the campaign. And you know, but for us, the focus is on us. Who's going to be on the field and get 23. And I haven't been training. You know, I only trained today, but from watching, the boys have been working really hard. You know, extra hard. But it was actually really just hard watching, and you know, and that's what it needs to be done for us to compete against these fellas. And I mean, you know, if we get the time to, you know, to play, it'll be, you know, special. Because I know the guys are up for it this weekend.
The last couple on line, thanks guys. Anything else?
Andrew, just quickly, you made mention of the stats beforehand. You know, only about 30% of the ball against South Africa, and not much more against Argentina. I dare say the scorelines certainly are a reflection of where you want to be at, but do those stats reflect somewhat of still how you're wanting to play, or because in the past Eddie's spoken recently around, you know, possession rugby being dead, but has what we've seen not necessarily an indication of a side that might not always want to play with the ball, but are those stats kind of reflective of where you're at, if you understand?
Yeah, I understand the question. Are they reflective where we're at? I don't think so. I think they're more reflective of possibly our mindset as a group, which we've had to have a big shift. Eddie's been working really hard to just change our perception around a couple of things, around the way we play the game, around the way we see the game. So yeah, I suppose those stats maybe reflect a little bit of that, but look, most important stat at the end of the day is the scoreline, so work on tweaking that.